Richie Mars, will Randy Orton be in this match?
Yes.
Easy question. He has announced for it as of last night, Monday Night Raw. Cody Rhodes said there's a Viper or someone from Legacy or one of his friends. All his hints were relying on Randy Orton. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to get any tomfoolery here.
No tomfoolery at all. I wouldn't think that WWE would hype up Randy Orton's return and then pull the rug out from under us, because Randy Orton is, of course, one of the major stars in WWE today, from the Ruthless Aggression era till present. And he's in this weird part of his career where, he's more towards the end than the beginning of his career. So this is probably his last big return. And we're going to see how WWE capitalizes on Randy Orton coming back after an 18-month absence.
Wild. And it's not like a war game structure is the most easiest for your 18-month layoff due to your back. So
not at all. But the good thing about war games is, since Team Cody has the disadvantage, they have the last person to come in, and that last person will most likely be Randy Orton. So it allows Team Cody to carry the bulk of this matchup.
For sure. Now, I'm just saying, my very obvious yes question here was just to kind of take a little sidetrack into play a little fantasy, right? So Shinsuke Nakamura feels someone coming. He sees someone, and that's perhaps another preview for another day. But that person could be Randy Orton. And once he sees Randy Orton, say he attacks Randy Orton, right? Randy Orton is the last to come out, as you kind of hinted to and said. And then perhaps the babyface team is short a man. And who else but a hometown boy could come save the day after Shinsuke Nakamura pulls a Tegan Nox, or pulls a Dakota Kai to Tegan Nox, and does not let him enter the cage? And that is my not going to happen prediction.
Yeah, it's interesting with the Shinsuke Nakamura prediction. I'll say this. I don't think it's Randy Orton. I don't think it's CM Punk. I think it is another person in this War Games match, and I think that's Sami Zayn. Because Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura, they're kind of on the similar trajectory of trying to vie for that World Heavyweight Championship. And majority of Sami's story for next year will probably be surrounded by that WWE World Heavyweight Championship journey, very similar to his NXT career when he was trying to capture the NXT Championship. So I think Shinsuke is targeting Sami, and the reason why is when he first started these promos in the universe of WWE, Shinsuke probably didn't even know Randy Orton was coming back, so I wouldn't think that would be a logical thing for him to target and even think about it, because why would you target somebody who's been off the roster for 18 plus months? It just doesn't ring true to me. And it's not CM Punk because, again, I don't think CM Punk is, I don't think he's coming in this time around. But enough of that. We are talking about the men's War Games, which is going to be.
We had to get it out of the way, Richie, buddy.
Yeah, I know. It was the elephant in the room. We had to at least acknowledge it, not the tribal chief kind of acknowledge, but we had to acknowledge it nonetheless.
But for sure, let's kind of just take a veer over to the left here of our screen and talk about this babyface team, as that's kind of what we've been talking about so far. So, Sami Zayn. I would say he's in a pretty good spot, all things considered. He lost his tag team partner. He already lost to Seth Rollins in a world title match after kind of, let's just say, not letting Damian Priest cash in at Crown Jewel. That's kind of seemed to be forgotten about. That seems a little weird. And that Nakamura route for Sami Zayn is actually kind of intriguing. You would think that Nakamura was talking, not to talk about Nakamura again, but you thought Nakamura would be talking about someone returning or someone else, but someone like a Sami Zayn is an interesting spot for that interesting storyline they got going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hypothetically, if it does happen, like I said, both of them are kind of on the same boat. They're trying to make their mark as singles competitors on the Raw roster. And of course, Nakamura has this new character that he's developing and has been getting very positive reception as of late. And Sami Zayn is always that fiery underdog adversity chasing kind of competitor. So I think both of them are made for each other. And let's not forget, Shinsuke Nakamura's debut match on any WWE platform was against Sami Zayn. So I think that will be a fitting tide of the turns or turn tider of their careers finally intersecting on the main roster.
Yep, and they had that little budding friendship in 2019, the artists or whatever they call themselves. So with
Yeah,
Cesaro,
yeah,
so
yeah.
there's a lot of crossing paths there.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
let's talk about the guy in the middle of all this. Everyone's buddy, Cody Rhodes here. Cody
Mhm.
Rhodes just seems to be connected to all of these guys, literally. His biggest rival here since returning could be Seth Rollins, someone that he is on the same level with, but seems like a bigger star. Perhaps we'll get into. Jey Uso kind of saved him from quitting the WWE from a kayfabe standpoint, but kind of just brought him to Monday Night Raw and is really, as we previewed 2 months ago, won the WWE Tag Team Championship with him. So interesting that there. Sami Zayn, again, respect on all levels. These guys seem like they've been on the same page ever since WrestleMania. And then his longtime friend and mentor, Randy Orton here. So Cody Rhodes is your de facto team captain. Do you feel that the way they structured this team around Cody is fitting?
Definitely for this story, I think it's very fitting because this is Cody Rhodes' first War Games match, a match that his father helped create. So I
Yes.
think it's very fitting that his first one is also going to be led by a team by him. At the same time, when you have the World Heavyweight Champion on the good guy team and he's not the captain, I kind of tilt my head at that.
Mhm.
I think that's unfortunately what Seth Rollins' current run has been kind of diminished to, of being just kind of, I wouldn't say an afterthought, but it's like a good before intermission kind of title match. He's been last on the card, yeah, a couple of times, but that should be every time. And that's just an unfortunate thing. And even the best example I could put it, when they were coming to save Jey Uso yesterday, whose music did they come out to? Not Seth Rollins, but Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes took
So
that music last, and he was the one to present the last player. Cody
mhm.
Rhodes is your captain here, as he should be, I think. But that you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, buddy. But we'll let it slide here.
I'm sorry.
Let's slide on Seth Rollins here. Do you feel that he is diminished not being the captain here, diminished being the B champion, and do you kind of feel that his days? I don't want to say his days are numbered, but his days are numbered as a interesting world heavyweight champion.
You see, and I'm going to go on record saying Seth Rollins has done a very admirable job of being the first world heavyweight champion. It's a very difficult position to be in, to try to establish a championship that has no prior establishment. And because of that, he has to not only build a prestige of this championship, but build a prestige of his challengers. When you had Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Drew McIntyre, for arguably all of them, had more interesting backstories of why they should get the title rather than Seth Rollins have the championship. So it's a very no-win position for Seth to be in. Again, I think he's doing a great job. Unfortunately, when you have more interesting villains than your protagonist, then it kind of, uh, and at least in wrestling, the audience tries to turn on you a little bit. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, fickle, fickle! You said you want Seth Rollins to be champion, and now you don't want him." That's not the case at all. I just wish his side of the storyline was a little bit more interesting than it's being presented currently.
Yeah, I've always been kind of lukewarm on him. I think he's definitely an upper mid Carter. I don't know if I love him in the main event 100% of the time. All right, let's go to Jey Uso here. Kind of the glue. If Cody's the glue to this match, Jey Uso is kind of the oil, let's so to speak. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
he's kind of feuding with everyone, has feuded with everyone, got beef with everyone within his team and outside of his team for sure.
Mhm.
I just thought that was great, great visuals last night when Randy Orton was announced as the fifth member, and then Sami Zayn, wow, Seth Rollins, wow, Cody Rhodes, ecstatic, Jey Uso, ooh,
Yeah.
damn, man, I took that, man, this bloodline shit's coming back on me all day. I got receipts longer than fucking CVS. What is going on here, man? Woo.
Yeah, Jey Uso has not made many friends. He's made a bunch of enemies during his time with the Bloodline. And I think we're going to have a point in the match where Drew McIntyre is going to hand Randy Orton a chair, or someone from Judgment Day is going to hand Randy Orton a chair, and it's going to look like Randy Orton's going to attack Jey Uso from all that pent-up aggression from 18 months on the shelf. Then Randy Orton's going to turn around and then just start beating the Judgment Day with it. But I will say that Jey Uso's character work has always been a bright spot of his run.
Absolutely.
Currently with the singles push that he's been receiving. And now for him being in a second WarGames, a second featured WarGames, where arguably he's one of the top stories involved in that match, just goes to show how much he's developed over time. And I think either him or Sami are going to go the distance in this matchup and being the first ones to start the WarGames match. So it's going to be pretty cool to see how different they're going to make last year's WarGames match.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. It was number 4 here on the No-So, on our No-So countdown. I adored it. I went 4 3/4. I just absolutely loved it.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else on Randy Orton before we bounce to the heel side of things?
The only thing that I'm curious is how Randy Orton's going to be in ring.
Yeah.
He has said in the past that the RKO is probably one of the main reasons why he had to get back surgery. So, do we see an RKO? Do we see a new Randy Orton? Do we see a more technical side of Randy Orton? I know he's done the Billy Goat's Curse submission hold. Does he do that? Does he do something else? Does he take something from his old Rivals book? Does he do like maybe an attitude adjustment? Maybe he does a pedigree. You never know what their Randy Orton's going to do. So it's going to be really interesting to see his first match back in over a year and a half.
I'd bring out the punt. I like the punt.
Yeah. I like the punt too. That it's very difficult visually because you don't want to kick the person full force in the head.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to make it look good and safe at the same time.
Haven't done got it.
Yeah. The difference when he brought it back in 2020 was, again, the COVID era. So you could be a little bit more lenient with your shots. So that's my only gripe, along with the CTE that could happen if hypothetically a kick were to go wrong.
All right, so you have Jey Uso starting for the babyface side of things, right?
Mhm.
I think that's a great pick. He started last year on the heel side of things, and I think that the perfect opposition for him would be Finn Balor to go the distance. I just think that they have great chemistry, and it just kind of makes sense for those initial 5 minutes to start the war game.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think Finn Balor is the ace of Judgment Day, which is very different from the leader. He's like the head warrior of the Judgment Day. He's not the battle strategist. He's just put him in there. He's going to take him out. And with Finn Balor and Jey Uso, as we've seen many, 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 many times on Raw, they have very good chemistry, and this will be no different. And now we have a cage and a ring for them to play with. So I think they're going to make the 5 minutes fly by.
Damian Priest, we're not going to get any. Are we going to get any shenanigans with that world heavyweight champion in this ring and a briefcase in tow?
It's always a possibility. As you know, I covered the 1998 War Games on here, and we see how a free-for-all kind of War Games situation happens, and it's not great. So I hope not, because then it will be a little bit more complex than this needs to be. This is a feud ender. This has to be the finish of any Judgment Day Team Cody shenanigans. And that's pretty much it. They can move on to somebody like Randy Orton because it's a little bit newer. But again, it's one of those things where I don't see any cash-in shenanigans or attempt of cash-in shenanigans. Again, always a possibility, but I personally don't see it.
And then you have JD and Dirty Dom Mysterio. I think JD is low-key one of the better workers in the company. He's kind of a workhorse. He's well-liked backstage. He's a really good seller. So this is a really good spot for him to shine, so to speak. But I just think that perhaps his size is going to just stick out like a highlighter in this thing.
Yeah, when you're because he was in NXT UK and then he was in NXT, and he was fairly, he was similar size to a bunch of people there. And then when you're next to giants like Priest, McIntyre, Orton, Seth Rollins, you're gonna look
6'1",
yeah. You're gonna look smaller than you would like to be presentation wise, but at the same time, this is JD's first match since joining the Judgment Day officially.
Mhm.
So who knows what's going to happen inside Judgment Day? Is he going to be on the same page with everybody? We all know that him and Finn Balor go way back. And we all know because of Damian Priest's not hatred for JD, but he's not all in on JD. And with Priest being the team leader of this War Games, hypothetically, if JD were to lose, does that get blamed on JD or does that get blamed on Priest?
He did accept him right before Drew. You know what I mean? Before he saw the forecast of Drew coming in, he gave JG the Judgment Day nod, and then Dirty Dom. I don't know. I just feel like they always seem to have a nice little recipe for Dom to shine. I feel like this is just the perfect scenario. I'm sure it'll be a comedy spot mixed with some decent athleticism and a memorable moment for Mr. Mysterio himself.
Yeah, he's been shining this whole year, this whole past year. I think Dominic has been rookie of the year, so to speak, or had one of the best years in a WWE. Yeah, WWE history for him, and just night and day how he was a year ago. You know what I mean? And I agree, he's improved character-wise by leaps and bounds. And in ring, he's not too shabby either.
No,
We've seen him shine in a bunch of matches with Dragon Lee. We've seen him shine in a bunch of matches down in NXT against Nathan Frazier, I believe. And
he's done a great job.
so he is getting those reps in, and I think he has the most matches out of everybody in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. If not, he's pretty close. So he's getting those reps in. And in this match, he's definitely going to shine how he does best. He's going to be that cowardly kind of heel, and then he's going to take advantage on where he sees fit. So I think he's going to take like a fish to water like this.
All right. And that's the Judgment Day side of things. Do you suspect these guys to come out whole, win, lose, or draw?
It's definitely been fractured before then with the whole Damian Priest, I'm the leader comment.
Yes.
And you also have the Drew McIntyre factor.
As we'll get into.
You know what I mean?
Correct?
Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting if Judgment Day were to lose this match, how Judgment Day is going to react to Damian Priest as a whole. Because even though it's like, hey, we could kick this guy out, at the same time, he does have the Money in the Bank contract. So is he really worth being kicked out? Because he could potentially bring the World Heavyweight Championship or any championship onto the Judgment Day side. So it's one of those things where, is it smart to kick him out now? Or should we wait until he fully blows it before we give him the boot?
Absolutely. And then we have Drew McIntyre solidified himself as the last heel member on this side of the fence. That opening promo from Drew last night was really cool. I love the chemistry in perhaps the strategy he's got going on with Rhea here. We'll see where that will lead. He's the one that wants to get his hands most on Jey Uso, man. Do you think that Jey Uso costing him the WWF champ or the WWE championship about 14 to 15 months ago enough to carry weight of his heel turn?
Yeah, absolutely. Usually when somebody like a babyface loses a championship, the next night on Raw, or SmackDown, they're just smiling, happy to be there. Which is what ticked me off when John Cena was around. Whenever he would lose the championship next night, smile on his face, and then it's like, you want people to care, like this is like their opportunity. For Drew, if you listen to his promos, it makes sense why he's upset. His big moment, it was going to be in front of 60, 70,000 people at WrestleMania. Then COVID hit, and then he's winning the championship out of the Performance Center in front of no people. And then he was carrying the championship in front of no people for his entire reign. So, yeah, you can understand the bitterness right there. I know Jey Uso isn't the main cause of Drew McIntyre losing at Clash at the Castle. That was Solo Sikoa because the Usos and Sami Zayn weren't there.
Weren't even there.
But which makes because the best heel turns, in my opinion, the heel has to have some validity of being right. Whether you agree with what they're saying or not agreeing with what they're saying. I mean, look at Chris Jericho, for instance, and that's why I compare this heel turn to Chris Jericho's in 2008. Where Chris Jericho was like, what are you doing? Shawn Michaels was the one lying all this time, and you're booing me for telling the truth, It's like a complete mind screw up of the mind, and that's where Drew McIntyre is. And you even heard him say, it's like, look, if you're still with me, I'm still cool with you. But if anybody is just like not liking what I did to Jey and costing them the tag titles, then you could hit the bricks. And that's very similar of Diesel's heel turn after he turned on Bret Hart. So it's a nice little shade of gray that we don't normally see on WWE television. I know a lot of people joke about the long-term storytelling, but again, it shows that you can have the ability to go back in the lore of WWE, and anything can be used as a motivation for a heel turn rather than just doing a shock turn or a surprise turn. I really liked how his heel turn was building up, and honestly, I think this is going to have a new lease on life for the Drew McIntyre character. And depending on whether or not Drew McIntyre is signing back to WWE, I think it's going to have a great trajectory for his career in general.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think he eventually will resign. I think that he may be a candidate to receive the World Heavyweight Championship sooner rather than later, for however we get there. But I think that would be a good candidate, and I think that will come with a new contract. And it's well-deserved, too. He's been a low-key dark horse, real glue guy, and not really called upon, but filling really good TV. I like Drew a lot.
Yeah, again, he's a very reliable guy. He's in that same spot where it's like if you need a house show, if you need a main event, he's always right there. And before his heel turn, people liked him a lot, And who knows if that's going to carry over to him being a heel, because we've seen people turn heel and then it not work out, a la Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose when his last run with the company. So hopefully this one will stick, but I think Drew McIntyre has the charisma and the ability to make this character different than the babyface character than he was portraying before.
All right, we've kind of talked to everyone here. I like that we got 30% of last year War Games here on this year's War Games, and I like that all those three people flip sides of the fence. So Drew was on the babyface side, he's on the heel side. Uso and Sami were on the heel side, they're now on the babyface side. I think that's pretty cool.
Like you said, it's really cool. Just seeing how things have developed in a year's time, and you see all these people, all these new faces, some old faces who are going to the War Games at the same time, and it's gonna turn a recipe into a great match. Despite the fact we've seen some combination, one or another, in the main event of Raw since May. Ugh. But again, this is if this is the final crescendo, the apex, no pun intended, this should be very, very nice.
All right, well, as we're at the apex of this episode, buddy, who's winning and who's getting pinned and who's making the pinfall?
Team Cody's winning, and the person making the pinfall, oof. My heart wants Randy to get the pin because, it's his first time back in a while. But something tells me we're going to get either a Cody or a Jey pin, probably leaning towards Cody. And there's going to be a pin probably on Dominic Mysterio.
I will tend to agree that Cody's side's going to win, but I'm going to play the fence here. I say we're going to have a Randy Orton heel turn on Cody Rhodes.
No.
And then Dominic Mysterio is going to get the pin on Cody Rhodes.
I see where you're coming from because Randy Orton is a fantastic heel. The thing is, people want to cheer for Randy Orton.
I know but they're going to be able to cheer from the start of the match.
and we've seen what happens when you take a beloved guy and then turn him heel, and then the crowd being apathetic to it. Look at what happened with Edge with Judgment Day. Look at what happened with Trish Stratus, his heel turn earlier this year. Apathy, So something tells me we're going to ride that Randy Orton babyface turn for a while, and I think Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre go off and do their own thing, because it's a nice little role reversal from their feud. And then, everyone just goes their separate ways as we build towards the Rumble itself.
Awesome. Well, we have about 5 or 6 more Monday Night Raws till we get to the end of January. That's the official start to the Royal Rumble season. And hopefully we don't see many more Judgment Day and Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn types of main events. But Richie, we can find you at Retold with Richie Mars on all platforms. Your Survivor Series preview on the Ruthless Talk. That is out there, a 2-hour roundtable. And then this episode of Retold with Richie Mars is Hulk Hogan's title reign, compared to Roman Reigns' title reign. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, it's me and someone who's also been on the No So channel, Mr. Seth, talking it out, and we're comparing Hulk Hogan and Roman Reigns' championship run, and how it's interesting that Hulk Hogan was the mega babyface that launched the company, as nowadays Roman Reigns is kind of the first heel that's been revolved around the company. So a little bit of nice comparisons and differences that we're going over on that podcast.
Well, plenty of Richie Mars to go seek out, guys. And Richie, as always, thank you, and we'll see you on the next one, pal.
Thank you for having me, Ryan. As always, my pleasure.